All right, pregame thoughts, Padres and the Yankees. Obviously, yesterday we'd like to flush that. That was a sucky game to watch. It was over really after the first inning, if you think about it, because the Padres didn't score any runs, and you can't win when you don't score any runs. Captain Obvious, I know, but that's what happened last night, and so hopefully today the Padres have flushed that. And the good news is Marcus Stroman might not be good news, a few hours from now when we see the Stroman performance. But the good news, at least right now, is that a right-handed pitcher, not specifically Stroman, but a right-handed pitcher is on the mound, not a left-handed pitcher. I don't know if you guys saw Kevin Acey's Padres Daily this morning. He's also written about it in the past as well. It's not just today that he pointed it out. But the Padres are really bad against lefties this year. But they're the best. I think he said they're the best hitting team in terms of average in the league against right-handers. And they have, I think, definitely a top 10 OPS when a right-hander's on the mound. So hopefully that can turn some things around here today. And you got Dylan Cease on the mound, and Dylan Cease has been the Padres' best starting pitcher this year. He's had some outings where it's not that version of Dylan Cease that we want, but most part, he's been really good as a Padre. And for the most part, it's been worth acquiring Dylan Cease from the White Sox as the Padres were about to depart for Seoul earlier this season. So, what I'm hoping for, and if you go look at MLB, the MLB.com preview and the matchups, how Yankees do against Dylan Cease, the big guys, Judge, 884 OPS, Rizzo, 1200 plus OPS, Soto, 1500 OPS, Stanton, OPS over 1,000, over 1,400 actually, Gleyber Torres, 900 OPS. Small sample sizes. No one had, other than Verdugo, no one there has more than 10 at-bats off of Cease. But you look at that there and you don't see the number of at-bats, and it's not very encouraging. But we got to remember that some of those at-bats may have happened when Dylan Cease was not at the Dylan Cease level. Because remember, last year, he did not have as good of a year as he had, obviously, the year before that. And it seems like he's back to that great Dylan Cease for the most part this season. So really what happened with Darvish last night, right, was missing spots. And Cease, I believe he's done that a little bit this year. But for the most part, he's been someone with velocity, with the breaking ball that can be unhittable, it seems like, at times. And so hopefully he can make someone like Giancarlo Stanton look pretty ridiculous up there at the plate. Maybe you can get Aaron Judge to swing at a pitch. What is his, maybe Yankees fans, if anyone's watching it, let me know. Like, what is Judge's kind of out pitch? Is it a fastball up out of the zone and he tries to, or he gets kind of under it? Or maybe it's not striking him out, but it is him getting under it and popping it up, like Stanton did, I think, last night, where he hit one like 500 feet up in the air is what it seemed like. With Soto, sometimes it feels like one of those series where, if you get behind an account, walking Juan Soto may not be the worst thing. But when it's Dylan Cease on the mound, you're probably like, let's still try to go get Soto out. There's that urge there. You have that confidence in Dylan Cease. But we'll see. I'm just hoping that Soto doesn't hit another home run tonight. As I was walking into Petco last night, I was like, yeah, Soto's probably going to hit a couple bombs. Stanton's going to hit, it feels like every time he comes to San Diego, he hits one off the Western Metal. So hopefully good news is that he has that one out of the way, but he could go off again. We know that they have power, and that's one of the concerning things right now about this Padres team is you see, okay, Yankees, they have big boppers. Do the Padres have those big boppers? Who are the Padres' big boppers? Two guys in the lineup, Tatis and Manny. But this year, do you qualify those guys as big boppers? I put out a post today about, and you can check it out on your own, but it's about like the notable duos, some contenders around Major League Baseball, duos, Judge and Soto and Ohtani and Betts, stuff like that. How many homers combined between those two? Tatis and Manny combined are at 13. And there were some that wanted to point out that the actual duo is a rise in profile. Like the best hitters, and that's even worse. I think that's at 8 combined home runs. Like they just don't have a bunch of power guys on this team, which it's not the end of the world if you're able to string together hits, put together good rallies, which we've seen from this Padres team. But you're also going to run into, if you run into a tough pitcher and you just don't have much pop in the lineup, home run power, you could definitely run into nights like last night where you need a big swing. Now, last night, I shouldn't say last night. That's maybe not the best example because it was a blowout, but maybe those close games where you lose by 1 run or you lose 2-0, something like that. And it's like, oh, well, having that power, that's where just we got to hope for Manny and Tatis to turn that thing around. Because they are not on that same level as other duos in Major League Baseball, even though they're getting paid a lot of money and they're the big two on this Padres team. No doubt about it. It's Tatis and Manny. I'm not saying Profar's not talented, Arai's not talented, Crony not talented, and they're the better players so far this year offensively. I'm not saying, that Manny and Tatis are better than them this year. I'm just saying who are the two faces of the franchise? Who are the guys that you would think would carry this team all the way to the promised land? You'd think it would be the guys with the power, and those are the two guys that I point to. Campy, maybe, but maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. But like Merrill, Kim, those guys, more contact guys. Cronenworth, you look at him as a contact guy, line drive hitter, using the opposite field. Obviously, we know about Luis Arias, and he is not the power hitter, right? We totally understand that. So that's just some stuff that I'm thinking about. As for the lineup tonight, not surprised seeing David Peralta in there as the DH, left versus right there. Merrill obviously in the lineup, righty on the mound. Campy's in there. Kim hitting ninth. Obviously, we got the top of the order. That's just the way that it's been. And so we'll see what happens. I'd like to have a lot of confidence that because you got Dylan Cease on the mound tonight, you got Suarez and Estrada rested because they didn't have to pitch yesterday because of the blowout. I'd like to have confidence, but I also look at the other side and I see how good that offense can be, almost like top to bottom. And Stroman, if you go look at his game logs, he has the potential to go 6 innings and give up no runs, go 7 innings, give up 1 run. He may not strike out a lot of guys, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the innings and the runs that you allow. So it's an interesting matchup. Like for me, I looked going into this series at the starting pitching matchups. I know maybe that's not as popular as it was decades ago or even a decade ago, but I still like to look at the starting pitching matchups and I'm like, ooh, that one's going to be a fun one. C. Stroman, that's the one that I saw immediately. I was like, yep, there we go. So hopefully it's going to be a fun one, on our side of things. And by the way, this lineup picture, courtesy of Jeff Sanders, I don't want to leave that out there. And then my Underdog Fantasy pick for today, actually I have a couple. David Peralta, sadly, but I believe this is what's going to happen. Lower 1.5 hits, runs, RBI. So, I mean, he could make me wrong on one at bat, get an RBI single, and there's an RBI and there's a hit. And so that would break it. But I've got that there. And then Aaron Judge, lower half first inning hits with Cease on the mound. I like that. And by the way, for anyone that's watching this before 5:30, go ahead, Underdog Fantasy, use it to your advantage. Pascal Siakam, higher, 0.5 point. Eastern Conference Finals there. Pacers down 2-0, but Siakam, if he scores a point, that's an automatic win on that one selection. You need multiple, obviously, on the pick'em, but just use that to your advantage there. All right, pregame thoughts, then I'll have postgame reaction coming up after the game.